Hey everyone, the mysterious producer here again, coming at you with another Deadliest Warrior prediction. This week we are going to be looking at Genghis Khan, a leader of the mighty Mongolian Empire, and Hannibal, the leader of the mighty Carthaginian Empire, who led his army of elephants against the mighty Roman Empire. Say empire that many times, it's kind of fun. Both of them have vast armies and an empire to boot, and both are going to be in the battle for the Deadliest Warrior. As always, I will put up some documentaries for those who are interested, and we'll see what comes of this. So, with that being said, let's get started. So, I'm actually going to start with close range weapons and move backwards this time, because I have a lot to say about the special weapons, and this is most likely going to be in two parts. On Hannibal's side, we have the falcata. For those who don't know what that is, it's a short sword made for cutting that has a similar design to the Greek kobus, even though no connection between the countries is determined. It's great for hacking off limb, but it is a little short. But that's how people in the 4th century fought. On Genghis' side, we have the Mongol saber. This weapon has been copied so many times throughout history and has been effective every time it's been used. It has a single side blade made for slashing mostly, but if necessary, it can be stabbed. So, who really does have the better close range weapon? Well, as far as close range weapons go, I would have to give it to the Khan. Not that the falcata isn't deadly, but it's short. Having a shorter blade, especially from an elephant, means you have to get off the mount to use it effectively. The saber has a foot longer, and I guarantee it's a better killer. In the case of advantage, I would have to give it to the Khan. His weapon is longer and made to be used from the mount instead of hand to hand. So, point goes to the Khan. Alright, let's move into mid-range weapons. Now, I know the wiki page doesn't have this part of the challenge. However, if you look at the first 15 minutes of the show, you will see two mid-range weapons on the table. Khan obviously is coming with his war lance, and Hano will be using his signature javelins. Both were meant to be used from the mount, and both have their own unique style in which they are used. With the lance, it's obviously a thrusting weapon, and is similarly used as the Comanche war lance. The javelins of Hannibal were basically just a stick with a sharpened metal spear tip at the end, but a really small one. These were meant to be thrown down off the elephants. With these weapons, there are really three main factors that stand out as different to me: accuracy, longevity, and portability. With the javelins, you usually have to carry several of them into battle, which means that's more gear you have to carry. After you throw the javelin, a lot of times they would break because of the thickness of the wood, making them a one-shot weapon. And javelins, as being shot off of elephants, were meant to be shot into groups of people, and for that they are very effective. It falls into the same category as the Spartan javelin, because they were meant to be thrown into a group of people, like an army, and in this regard they're very effective. However, the Mongol spear has problems too. Having one weapon that takes out your enemies means you have greater accuracy and portability, because it's one weapon that you keep hold of. But when that spear breaks, you don't have it anymore. However, making it so you don't have to throw it and you can use it several times and you don't really have to aim, I had to give this one to Khan. I just don't see the javelins actually hitting their mark very accurately, so this one goes to Khan. Now on to the special weapons of both these warriors. The one people will love to see. These two probably had two of the most revolutionary weapons ever, and without the exception of gunpowder, and both used them extremely effectively. Hannibal, of course, comes into battle with his signature elephants. These were usually 9 to 10 feet tall and weighed about 9,000 pounds. These were usually one of the most terrifying things you see. A horde of them charging at you was terrifying, and the the hardest mounts to master and train. One of the things they were effective in doing, however, was ramming into the wall and knocking a lot of people off. The sound and crushing power of Hannibal's elephants is really a sight to see, and he used them really effectively. Con side, we have the signature recurve bow. Probably the greatest long-range killer in history. It can be shot from horseback and was not surpassed until multiple shot guns. Again, in the sneak peek, however, you see that the bow, while powerful, cannot take down an elephant with a single shot. So, I bet a lot of you people think I'm gonna give the edge to the elephant. Well, not quite. The elephant, though powerful and fast, does not have the maneuverability of a horse. Elephants turn quite slowly and are not the two-story elephants you see in Lord of the Rings or 300. The bow, though it may not be able to kill the elephant, there is a lot more targets to consider. The eyes of the elephants are a major weak point and cannot be discounted. And you can also not discount the rider that is riding on top of the elephant. And when the elephant gets so deep, it may not die, but it's likely to panic. Panicking elephants will run, possibly right through the center of your army. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. You can kill the elephants, in which case they'll die anyways, or you can try calming them down, which is not easy. This is one where I have to say, I have to agree with Matt Nakowitz. The bow has range and killing potential. The elephant, though destructive and terrifying, if used correctly, it's just too much of a double-ended sword for me to give an edge to. So, for that, I can't give the edge to the elephant. So, point goes to the bow. And last, let's take a look at the warriors themselves. The armor, the tactics, and the X factors that led these warriors to lead their armies. Well, I guess we'll take a look at armor first. And yes, I mean the whole package. Hannibal's armor is consistent, traditional bronze. It's very similar to the Spartans. The bronze cuirass, the bronze helmet, and bronze greaves. He also has a shield made of laminated hardwood and bull hide. In the center, there's a bronze boss to protect your hand. On Khan's side, we have laminated armor of leather and plates of steel, as well as a steel helmet with scales going down to the shoulders. There's a shield that's almost like a cone shape that is leather that has plates of steel on top of it. Man, that's a lot of steel. As far as the armor is concerned, this is one I really can't call. Both have strengths and weaknesses, and I really can't see either side being able to penetrate through each other's armor with the weapons they are bringing. Sorry guys, but this one's a draw. Next up, we have the tactics. And using what I saw from the touch table, I was able to figure out the tactics they are going to be using for this. Hannibal is using his march over the mountains. He took 52,000 soldiers, which was a lot for that time, over the Alps and caught Rome with their pants down. He had both the element of surprise and fear, and almost nobody was in Rome. They were all expecting him to go around the mountains, so they were waiting for him. But because it was winter, when he crossed the Alps, he lost a lot of men in the process. But he thought outside the box, and it really did pay off for the first part of the Punic Wars. On Khan's side, we have the open and encircle technique. This is where the Mongols surround a group and attack it from all sides, making it so they can't retreat unless they want them to. They may even put in the feigned retreat technique there, where they actually pretend to be in disarray and defeat and run away, and you can lead them right into a trap, or they can just keep picking them off with their bows. Both tactics are studied in modern warfare. Both are tested in battle. But for me, though it may be close, I had to go with the Mongolian tactic. Again, that requires you to lose some men in the Carthaginian tactics. Going outside the box is a good idea, but not when it costs you a lot of men. It's something you really want to avoid. If you lose all your men because you went in winter, it's just something I can't overlook. It's similar to Russia. You just can't attack them in winter. So point goes to Khan. Alright, let's take a look at the X factors and finish this whole thing off. This one is neck and neck. I do have to agree with this. These two are almost the same size, weight, and experience. The main factors that really strike me as different is logistics, diet, and fatigue. These three are so massively different, it's just something I can't overlook. With the logistics, Khan's massive scale empire made his supply lines so thin that it is ultimately one of the factors that led to his defeat. However, Hannibal, in going over the Alps during winter, he basically cut himself off from the rest of the Carthaginian Empire and his supply lines. So he really only has the supplies he brought with him. I'm betting they were substantial, but he has no way of resupplying his men, and that is a serious problem. So this one I have to go with Khan. But as far as the diet goes, I have to agree with the doctor here. Hannibal's has a mixture of protein and grains, making his diet much more like the people today, without all the added grease and deep frying and whatnot. It gives him a lot of energy to continue to fight. Khan's diet mostly consists of meat, because of where he lived. But he will have only temporary energy, and won't have any real long-term energy, and making it so that if this battle does drag out, he will not have the energy at the end of the battle that he had in the beginning of the battle. So if he's going to finish the battle, he will have to finish it quickly. Hannibal will have both short-term and long-term energy because of a balanced diet. So this one gives a huge advantage towards Hannibal. However, the final nail in the coffin for Hannibal is fatigue. Having lost half of his men, roughly, to the winter Alps, this is a huge factor and one that cannot be overlooked. The men were worn, tired, and a lot of them were dead by the time they got to Rome. He did a similar thing to Napoleon Hitler, and the fatigue is what ultimately killed Hannibal. If he had gone there with a full army, he probably would have crushed Rome. However, the fatigue for Hannibal is extremely low. His men are just not up to battle when they're so worn out. So this point goes to also Khan. So yeah, this one's an easy one for me to call. I know these warriors quite well, and I respect both of them for what they were able to do. However, the difference in age and strategy is really shown here. So for my prediction, I really have to say that Genghis Khan is going to trample Hannibal. I don't care if he has an elephant. If you cannot have the common sense to know when you're going to lose a lot of your men, you may win the war, but you're not going to win this battle.